My name is Rick Petherbridge, and I'm here to talk tennis. And today we're going to talk about doubles formations, the strengths and weaknesses of each formation, and talk about specific situations where if you're in one formation and your opponent is able to exploit a weakness in, your game, how changing to a different formation can really turn the tide in a match. But let's start off with the basics. So Ted, what I'd like you to do is, using the board, illustrate each of the different formations, one up, one back, the Australian and the I formation, because I think some people are confused about where you stand and what each formation looks like.
When I'm returning serve and my server is just an average server, I'll play up at the net because I'm not worried about the net guy pounding me. Okay, I'm assuming that we're swimming to the ad side and the red guys are serving. If the guys in red have a big first serve or a serve that I can't return, or my partner can't return, then I'll play back, and that's called two-back tennis. Now, personally speaking, when I'm the net guy, I like to play halfway in for the simple reason I want to cut off the short angles or the drop shot on either side. It's a harder shot for me to hit because most good bars can find my shoestrings. When I'm serving, now I'm in the red, serving the ad side, and I just want to get inside their heads, or the return serve is too good, or I want to change things up because we've lost the first set and I just want to change things up, or they've got a really good cross-court shot. I can play. There's three types. There's the standard up back, then there's Australian, which is like halfway in line, and then there's I formation, which is pretty much, and again, the server also, by the way, gets closer to the tee as well. And that's why it looks like an I, the letter I on the court. So also Australian is more of an older, old style tennis. Just like my grandma strokes, I don't have the big looping, shots on that with all the topspin as much. And that's like, classic tennis. So that's pretty much about Australian. I formation is the more popular derivation of the, changing things up. The other thing that in modern tennis is that the net guy will close really and get like on top of the net. And again, the closer you are to the net, the more angles you have. Also, if they're going to pound the ball at you, I don't have to have a great shot return, because if I just stick my racket on it with the ball down my strings, I'm close enough to the net where I can just have the ball just fall and die off, on the other side of the net. But if I do, like I say, pop up even a little bit, I've got all the angles and I can cheat that way. Now, typically speaking, and this is something that a lot of people don't know when they're serving and their partners at the net using I formation tennis. Typically speaking, a lot of your guys will want to serve the ball down to the tee, which is good every once in a while. But you always want to, like I said earlier in many other videos, is that you want to mix up your serve. You're like when you're serving, you're the pitcher, and you start the point. So if I control the point at that point, I can have all kinds of serve. There's like 16 to 20 different types of serves I can serve in doubles that I would not normally serve in singles. This is what I'm talking about. If I serve a ball, I'm a righty, and I have a slice and I do there, I open up an easier cross-court shot. Cross courts are a lot easier to hit in tennis, in doubles or singles, whatever, rather than redirecting the ball. That's why if you forehand down, cross court is harder to hit as an angle. Now, here's something modern that I've never ever really done, but I've always wanted to do. If I run across a person who believes to go down the tee like that, I want my net. If I'm at the net like this, I want me to go like that, which to open up the angle on that. But that's experimental. It's theoretical. That's not in practice yet. Anyhow, that's something I've always wanted to do. But the other temptation is then to go out wide. Well, if I go out wide and I'm at the tee, okay, the wider you are, the more angles that are opened up. So serving wide is really not a good serve when you're serving I formation, because I open up the alley, which is where I want to go 9 times out of 10, because it's an easier shot to hit, more for consistency's sake. So as a net man, and I know this, okay, I want to poach over here or go this way. And this is where signals come into play. In professional tennis, there's two signals you give. the location, and then if you want to go. Now, there's a third one I like to put in there, and that is what spin you want to put on the ball. And here's the reason why. If I had a twist ball on my serve, the guy will hit behind himself. If he hits behind himself, and I know that, I know to go behind me because he's going to be late on the ball. If a ball has a slice and the guy let the ball slides off, he doesn't punch through the ball good enough, and I know that, again, I'm going to go where the ball is going to go because it's going to go reverse off of this. If I do a hard slice, I know as a net guy, it's going to go behind me because, again, the ball's going to want to go off the strings that way. So this is why most people don't realize that the type of serve also helps out your net man. Whenever I played doubles in juniors, my job as a net man is to help my server win these points easier. And that's the whole reason why at the net, what can I do to ensure that we win the point, or at least get in their heads so that we have a chance for them to make a mistake? Because if they make a mistake, then I can finish the ball off. And that's the whole reason behind playing I formation, Australian. It's just a change of pace. That's all it is.
And commenting just on the, comparing the I formation to the Australian formation. I agree with you, Ted. I think the I formation is a really superior formation, and it allows you to be much more aggressive. So especially if you have a net player who is comfortable moving at the net, right? What happens in the I formation is you're putting a lot more pressure on the returner, because normally the returner is going to hit cross court and that's open. And he knows that if he hits a decent cross court return, that he's going to get his return in play. Now, if you've got a good net player in the I, you can hit a good cross court return and that guy will get that cross court return. So now the returner kind of has to keep his eye on the net player. And if the net player shifts his weight in one direction, at the last minute, you have to be able to change your direction. Not every returner has the skill set to be able to do that, right? And so
I agree with about 70% of what you just said. At the lower level tennis levels, you're exactly right. At the higher levels, the returner, before he even hits the ball, has to know where he wants to go. Because thought is escapes the plan. If it's this, I go here. If it's this, I go here. And the reason why is this: you don't have time to come up with the last second shot because it's too good a shot. And so then and here's another thing too. If I'm returning the ball, there's nothing wrong with going right down the middle, because 8 times out of 10 they're going to move, and so I'm going to hit it where they used to be, not where they are. Does that make sense?
Right. No, and I'm glad you added that in to finish sort of my thought in comparing it to the Australian formation. I mean, I think the Australian formation is a formation that you want to use if you know the returner has a great cross court, but really struggles hitting the ball down the line, right? Basically, when you're going to the Australian formation, you're telling the returner, you can't hit cross court. The only open spot for you to hit is down the line. Now, a lot of good returners, that won't bother them at all. But there are, even at the 4-0 level, I've seen it, people that have really good cross-court returns and just can't hit that down the line return. And in that case, then the Australian is a really effective formation to force the returner.
And the reason
to
why
hit
is
a ball
they
he
don't
doesn't want
practice it. It's like the overhead. When you're playing it, when you're practicing or whatever, how many overheads do you hit versus all your other shots? Hardly any. So if I want to get better in doubles, especially on return doubles, there's nothing wrong with practicing the down the line shot. Another thing is at the 4-0 level, there's a third shot that comes into play that's very effective, and that's the lob. And again, right to back to what I said, is because people don't practice the overhead. Now, in good, really higher level tennis, and younger tennis, because we don't move as well, or at least I don't. The lob they got the net, it's harder for him to get to the ball, to put the ball away.
So, Ted, let's talk about specific situations that come up in a match that trigger your thought process. Okay, let's change the formation, right? And so the most common one that I think of is if I'm playing a match and we have a returner that just smacks a couple of huge cross-court winners, right? I mean, the server doesn't even get his racket on the ball, right? If that happens twice, I'm immediately going up to the server and I'm saying, let's take away the cross-court return. We can either use the Australian where I'm all the way over, or we can use an I where I'm taking away the cross-court side, but I'm shading, I'm not all the way over. And let's see what that does to the return.
Okay, on the return of serve, there's something else you need to think about, and that is this. When you're a right-hand server, you're serving to the ad side, and the guy's got a good return of serve, he's hitting the ball back cross-court to what? The server's backhand. And that's the other reason why it's more effective to return. And that's why whenever I'm returning from the ad side, I'll hit a 3/4 power shot, but with heavy topspin and deep. Because guess what? It's to their backhand, and then my net guy can cherry pick all night, all day long. So, and you're right though. If it's a really good return serve and my guy over here is not good. And the other thing is this: when I'm playing I formation or Australian, and here's something else too. In modern tennis, if my server isn't that good, but I still want to be at the net, there's nothing wrong with parking way over here to the left because doesn't have that good a serve, which is more Australian if you want to think about it like that. What I do when I'm serving, when I'm at the net, my guy's serving, I'll play it back actually back here. And then I move in so that when I'm moving in, I don't have to move very far to cut off a ball because I'm moving in, I'm closing on the net. So I don't have to really worry about Australian or I formation, but unless I want to get in their heads or we're trying to do something different.
So Ted, I just gave one example that in my mind, triggers a formation change, right? Where you've got one returner that's hitting huge cross-court winners, and you want to stop them from doing that, make them hit another shot. Can you think of any other situations where you're playing in a match and it just the opponent's doing one winning strategy and it sort of triggers, okay, if we change the formations a little bit, we can turn the dynamic around?
Well, yeah. Even if your opponent has even a weak return of serve, there's nothing wrong with playing I-formation tennis. Again, when you're with a server, you're the pitcher. You're starting to point out. Okay, that's why it's funny because when I refer to Nadal serve, Nadal could have a good serve, but for him, he just uses the serve to start the point. That's all he does with the serve. That's why he doesn't ace many people, have many double faults, because he doesn't care about the serve because he knows he'll beat the heck out of you. If my returner's got a really good backhand, why don't I try the forehand? And the same is true on the other side too. Most returners on the deuce side are, when they're right-handed, people want to serve really far right and serve you wider their forehand, which is silly to me. But if I want to open up that forehand shot or that backhand, I'll serve it wide to keep him looking for the wide shot, and then I go down the tee, which opens up the backhand. And that same philosophy works in when you're playing baseline singles as well. How do I get to the weaker shot? I go to the stronger side, but don't give him a good shot. Like, for example, low, soft slice to the deuce side where he can't pound the ball. He has to lift up on the ball. So as long as my net guy covers his alley, we're okay.
So Ted, let me give you another situation that comes to mind where formations play a big role, right? And that is if I'm playing a match with someone who has really good net skills, has a really good volley, and moves really well at the net, right? I think that it's on that net player person to go to the server and say, let's play the I formation. And it's just because I've seen a good net player dominate a doubles match so many times, right? And, even if the server And some servers aren't. Even at the 4-0 level, I'm surprised at how many times they're like, you know, it's hard for me to get my serve in, or I don't feel comfortable with you in the I formation. But I think it's such a big advantage when you have a really good net player that moves really well at the net, that it's the net player has to go to the server and almost demand, right? Let's use this formation a certain number of times, and you're going to see how effective it is when I'm covering 3/4 of the court and I'm getting half the balls back, right? Can you think of other situations where it's sort of incumbent on one player to say, hey, this formation is the one that's going to work best for us because of our skill set?
Right. Again, though, like you said, there's other variables involved, because if I'm playing the I formation, I'm over here. If I'm serving and volleying, that's a long distance to travel if I'm not going there, or it's a long distance to go over here. So as a returner, if I got a good return a serve, I'm going to pound the ball over here, which will put me and the defender in a positive situation. So again, how do I take away their ability to put pressure on me? It's about pressure. That's the whole idea behind what you're talking about, is how can I put pressure on my opponents? And like you said, formations is one way, the easy way to think about that. But again, as a server, what do I do to help my net guy out? So that's what, like I said, the soft, slow slice, or the deep twist, or the jam. And that's why in doubles, for me, and I don't ace nearly as much in doubles because I go at the body. And that's something else too. If you got a good ground stroke guy who can pound returns, he loves it when he's outstretched, because that's when he's got good core and he can pound the ball on either side. So if I jam him, and that's what sets up the cherries. And you don't have to be playing that formation to take advantage of it, because the second you see him slice the ball pop up a little bit, that's when I take off. And that's why it looks like I'm covering so much net, because I take advantage of the soft ball. So not only does the formations work, but your net guy has a responsibility to look for the slow ball, look for the high ball. So, and this is the one thing about modern tennis too in doubles, is that more and more guys are staying one up, one back. As much as it's counterintuitive to classic doubles where you serve and volley and get to the net as much as possible. And the reason why is this, because the guys in the baselines have such great ground strokes, they can just pound the ball. And the guy at the net, he takes the slow ball and hunts it down and puts the ball away. But if he can't, then the guy behind him just slugs the ball. And that's why you're going to see a lot more. You see many more men's doubles matches, one up, one back, when they're serving.
I'm going to throw another situation at you that has happened to me a couple times, Ted. I want your feeling about what you do in a situation. You're the server, your partner's at the net, and he bricks a couple of overheads, right? And the other team sort of, notices this. Maybe there's a sun factor involved, right? But it's like they're almost intentionally giving him these little pop-ups because you can tell it's in his head. What do you do in that situation? I mean, normally that's a winning play, right? It's a lob to someone close to the net who's normally going to hit a winner, all right? But what do you do when someone just can't hit the overhead?
It's funny. I actually like that, believe it or not, if he can't do that. And I tell my net guy, just go to the other side of the court, let me run up, and I'll do like a serve volley, but at that time it'll be an overhead. And then I'll crunch the guy at the net, and then they'll stop doing that. Now, if I have a bad overhead and my partner's got a bad overhead, then you just let the ball come down. The net guy still crosses over, and then I take a ground stroke. And that's why you'll see people who aren't comfortable with overheads, they take the higher ground stroke. Because again, as long as the ball is above the net when I'm hitting the ball, that opens up more of the court for me. People get really mad at me because what I'll do is if the ball bounces high to me, I'll just take the short, wide angle a shot and put the ball away on a cross court. So once they start playing cover that, then that's when I open up down the middle. So, and that's why when I've got a partner who likes to go down the alley, at the net guy because they know he's going to be poaching all the time, and take away that from them. I go, do that, but don't do it on a low ball, because on a low ball you have to really reach up and lift up on the ball, so your margin for error is slight. And then on top of that, if you overdo it, then the ball's up in the air where they can pound me at the net. So when I'm returning a high ball of any kind, no matter where I'm in the court, they're giving me the opportunity to hit an offensive shot.
Okay, Ted, I got a follow-up for you. You're serving well, your partner's at the net, he's struggling with overheads. How many overheads can he miss before you go up to him and say, just get out of the way. I love it that you're there because you're going to give me the easy shot, but how much patience do you have before you make that shift?
Not very much. But here's something else, though. If I want to build my confidence in my partner, I'll say stand back a couple feet and then take the high volley. You see what I'm saying? So instead of standing at the net, like I do, like I said, I could do, have them stand at the service line. And if they're still lobbing, again, this crossover, no big deal, no harm, no foul. And here's something else too. At our age, how many guys you know have got a bad rotator cuff, and they can't hit the serve or an overhead?
Right, and that when you get 55 and over, you're getting to a lot of people that have bad shoulders.
Knees, legs, hips, eyes.
So let's go back to that situation. Your net player misses a couple of overheads. Is your first strategy to say, look, can you just slide over? I'll take that. It's an easy shot for me. Or do you first go to the other strategy where you say, hey, step back a little bit. You can hit a volley. You can hit a swing volley, but don't try to use your overhead because it's not working. What's your first go-to strategy in that situation?
After the second one, probably. Maybe,
okay.
Or the third. Because, I mean, I generally know who I'm playing with, and they generally know how they play as well. So most people have figured out by then that they don't have a good overhead or the sun's in their eyes. Or they'll even say, hey, listen, the sun's on my eyes today. I want you taking all high balls. So that's where a good communication comes into play. And if I know my partner's got a bad overhead and I know the sun's in his eyes, before the match even starts, I'll say, hey, listen, let me take the high ones.
Right. And again, that's where communication is so important in these doubles matchups. When you can go up to your partner and you can use different strategies and formations, but you got to be able to communicate to take advantage or to avoid a situation that's not working for you.
Here's a thought for you. If I'm a left-handed player and I'm playing with a right-handed player, do I want to play the deuce side or the ad side on return of serve?
And what's your take on that?
I always tell my partners, if I've never played them before, when I was good, I'll take the deuce side because our forehands are down the middle. And if they lob you, it's to my forehand. They lob me, it's to your forehand. Because I'm older now, I prefer the ad side because I can run around my backhand when I'm returning a serve and just plow a forehand, like I said, with heavy topspin, and then give my partner a chance to do some cherry picking. But traditionally speaking, like I said, the good doubles players, when they're playing high-level doubles, forehands down the middle is usually solves the riddle.
So let's talk a little bit about having, two right-handed players on a doubles team, a right-handed player and a left-handed player on a doubles team, or two left-handed players, and how that affects your thinking in terms of formations and stuff. I think we can all start off and agree that generally, if you have a right-handed and a left-handed player, that's a natural combination. And usually you have the lefty playing the ad side and you have the righty playing the deuce side. Do you agree with that, Ted?
Well, and that's what I've said earlier, is that in my older age, I agree with that wholeheartedly. The other reason is this. If my partner isn't as good as me, chances are his forehand is better than his backhand. And so the deuce side, he'll see a lot more forehands than he will backhands. And that's the reason why at our level, like you said, most righties will take the deuce side. But when I'm playing really good doubles and I'm playing with a really good doubles partner, or playing really high level doubles, I'll take the opposite side. I'll take the deuce side. Because again, when you're playing in doubles, when you're serving down the middle, you're taking away the angle. Now, modern tennis, a lot of the guys are serving out wide, which I do not understand why they're doing that. Because they're opening up so much angle on the court. But again, if you're putting the first serve where they can't get it back, it doesn't really matter, does it? But if the server just has an average serve and I go out wide, he goes out wide on me, he's just opened up the middle for me, the angle for me, or down the alley for me. You know what I'm saying? So he's giving me, the returner, more opportunity if he's serving wide to me, especially if I'm playing the ad side, because it's wide for me is my forehand.
So we've talked about the righty and lefty combination in doubles. Now let's talk about two righties, because that's probably the most common. When you've got two righties playing doubles, what are the issues you talk to your partner about in deciding who's going to play the ad side and who's going to play the deuce side?
These are the factors I think about. Who's got the better volley? Who's got the better return overall? Who's got the better forehand? Who's got the better backhand? And lastly, who's the better player? If I'm playing again, like I said, my weak, and all he has is really a forehand with no backhand, that's an easy situation. He's taking the deuce side. A lot of players, because they've developed over the years a two-handed backhand, their backhands become better than their forehand. Then the lesser player will take the ad side, because the two-handed backhand cross court is something that they can rip on all day long. So that's when that comes into play. If I'm a better returner, my return serve's average, I'm a right-handed player, but I'm really, really good at the net, I'll play the ad side, because again, I have an average return of serve. I'm not going to do much with it. But if my return server guy can really rail his forehand, then I want to play the ad side, because he's going to rail forehand return to serves all day. If he's got a better backhand, then I'll play the deuce side, because again, his cross court will be where I can poach again. Because that's something else that people in doubles don't do enough of, and that is poach when you're returning serve.
And so, Ted, how do you prioritize those factors you just talked about? Let's take this situation where you've got your partner who is comfortable hitting forehands, has a really weak backhand, right? Trying to think. So normally you would have him on the deuce side. But what if you're a really crazy good net player? Does that affect how you align?
Well, that's what I'm saying. His forehand will give me the best opportunity to poach when I'm on the ad side, because again, his return of serve is so good on the forehand side. Another thing to think about is wind factors and also sun factor. If I'm playing a person, and here's something else, if I can hit a high kicking serve, okay, where the ball's above their strike zone, that's another thing to think about as well. Now, that you won't see that often, but sometimes you do. You see a tall guy.
So let's be specific. If you have that high kicking serve that's super effective, does that mean that you play the forehand side or the ad side?
What I need more information. For example, does the returner have a good return of serve on both sides, one side or the other side, or a great return on both sides?
Let's start off with good return on both sides.
Then I'll still play on the ad side, because I'm going to see a weak return of serve.
Right. What if he only has a good forehand return?
Same thing.
Okay.
Because he can run around his backhand. Because a second serve, again, and that's another thing in doubles, and this is why I don't have too many aces. It's because first serve in with spin, you get to win. I can hit a 75% to 80% first serve power-wise. If I'm getting 75% first balls in, I'm giving my net person the opportunity to do what he wants to do. But if I'm serving 50% in, that means the defenders has got 50% really good looks on my serve. I'm setting myself up for failure.
Another thing that I want to get your opinion on is when you're playing a match, as a general rule, how many formations do you want to play? In other words, as a rule of thumb, should you always want to do the I because you want to see how your opponents react to that. You always want to do 2, 1 up, 1 back. That's where you start. You always have 2 back. I mean, how many times do you shift the formation, and do you use every formation, every match you play, just to see how the other team responds?
That's a good question. And one more wrinkle I'll throw onto that as well is that for me, if I'm at the net, what's my better do I have a better volley side? Do I put more balls with my forehand or my backhand? Okay, for me, my forehand has gotten better or my backhand's gotten less. I don't know how you want to think about it. So for me, when I'm playing on the deuce side, I'm more apt to play I formation because it's to my forehand. And so that's another wrinkle I wanted to throw in there for you.
Okay.
And there are matches I won't play mixed formations at all because because I move around well enough at the net where I am. I can poach on again. I'm looking for the slow ball, the chip ball, the standardized shot if he telegraphs the ball, then I go.
All right, but so let me get back to this issue. Let's say you start off traditional 1 up, 1 back, and let's say you're winning the match. Do you just continue the whole match through with it? Or are you always going to at least say, look, 1 or 2 plays, let's try this, because, if they can't handle it, then that's important to know.
Well, what you're saying is correct. However, I'm lazy. If I'm winning the match, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because I'm winning the match.
Right.
But you're right, though. I should always constantly strive to be better and find better ways and easier ways to win. So when I do find a tougher opponent, I've got that in my bag where I'm more comfortable, and more importantly, my servers is comfortable as well, because not enough servers know how to serve and where to serve in doubles, and that's the biggest, I think, that thing that people need to look at.
So I want to go back and reinforce that point, because I think it's a mistake not to use every formation at least 2 or 3 points in every match. And the reason, I get what you're saying, like if you're ahead, why change it? It's just easy not to. The problem is that when you're in a match and you need this other formation, if you haven't played it in match situations, you may not feel comfortable and you may miss some easy balls, right? And so if you just put yourself into the habit of using all of these formations, 1 or 2 points, it doesn't have to be an important point. You can be up 40-11 and say, okay, let's just, right? But I think it's crucial that all of us get into the habit of using these different formations in every match that we play, even if it's just 1 or 2 points. What do you think about that?
Not only that, I can still lose the point and it's still effective. Why? Because I'm getting in their head.
Right. So, I mean, I think it is one of these things that we're reluctant to change things up when we're winning, but this is one situation where it's important to do that, where you, even if you're up 5-love, put in a couple of other formations just to have the practice, so that you can do it when it counts. All right, I think we're out of time for today. I've learned a lot, and I hope that you have too.